Hey guys, welcome back to the After Artist Podcast, official podcast of digital and creative media works, where each week we take something from pop culture and try to break it down to better understand it. My name is David.
My name is Aaron.
And this week, Aaron, everyone else is away on holiday. Patrick is moving house. Ben's, I assume, sitting with his feet up, like the slovenly man he is, Lord Muck himself. And we're here to do God's work and do the analysis.
Yes.
Now, our last episode that we did together was our two-part mega Red Dead Redemption half
mega
podcast,
analysis,
half video essay thing.
Yeah.
That was probably the coolest thing that we've ever done in a long time, and one of my favorite things I've ever made. This is not going to be that. This is going to be a regular episode.
It's going to be
Moonlighter.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a cool indie game that we both think is cute and fun and good. Moonlighter is a 2018 game. It was developed by Digital Sun and published by 11-Bit Studios. The Wikipedia describes it as a roguelike game about a shopkeep that dreams of becoming a hero.
Yeah.
How would you describe it? Because I kind of, when I think about the way I play it, I don't really describe it. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, let's talk about the title, because I don't think that Wikipedia description does it justice.
No, because Moonlight is like A, the name of the shop.
It's A, the name of the shop.
B, the name of the activity that you do, which is moonlighting as a hero.
As a hero.
Or alternatively, depending on how far into the game you are, moonlighting as a shopkeep.
Yeah.
Because
this game is about managing your finances, selling the loot that you accrue in dungeons, and also dungeon delving.
Yeah, my summary is like 5 dot points. So I pretty much cover all of that, more or less. The game opens with William, the young proprietor of the Moonlighter, a general merchant store in the town of Rhinoka. By day, William runs the Moonlighter, and by night, he ventures into the magical dungeons near town, defeating strange creatures and collecting their loot. He then sells the items during the day at his shop, dreaming of opening the 5th gate of the dungeons to see what lies beyond. From a gameplay perspective, each dungeon is procedurally generated and themed, from things like Golem to Forest to Tech. William uses his earnings to rebuild the industry of the town, as well as inviting new merchants and crafters to aid in his quest on the dungeon. He also rebuilds the shop to its former glory. The player progresses through the dungeons, defeating fierce bosses until they reach the unknown final dungeon that has never been opened before. That's kind of the game. Like, there's not a ton of like narrative plot, but there's a lot of really nice little moments.
I think the story in this game doesn't matter so much that they start really leaning into the fact that it doesn't matter at all toward the very end.
I think because the loops themselves, and we'll talk about it when we talk about like the narrative and the ludonarrative dissonance and stuff, but there's definitely an element of this game that the more I played it, the more, like, each dungeon, when you defeat the creature, it's a Zen, I can't remember the guy, Zenith, or the old man.
Yes.
He comes up to
the
you.
old man.
He's like, kid, you're being real dangerous.
You gotta stop going into those dungeons, kid.
And after, like, the 4th one, he's like, well, I'm not gonna stop you. I'm going by. And you're like, oh, okay.
Don't blame me if anything crazy happens.
He does have a cheeky moment at the start of the game where, like, the first time that you die and you come out, he's like, when you're in bed and stuff, he's like, it's dangerous to go alone, take this, and he gives you the sword. I tweeted at you and I was like, you son of a bitch, this game's adorable.
It is, it is. It's filled with a lot of moments like that.
Yeah, really fun references.
Yeah.
So had you played, because this is a roguelike very much like Binding of Isaac, had you played those kinds of games before?
I've played Binding of Isaac before, absolutely.
Because I haven't, so this was for me like I've seen people play it, but this was a fresh experience for me.
I find Binding a little more fast-paced. Mm-hmm. This one's very, Moonlighter in particular, is dodge at the right time. Yep. Dodge and dodge again.
And you should be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, just keep dodging.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of, because in Binding, you obviously have a ranged attack most of the time.
Yep.
In this one, you're primarily melee-based, and so it's all about getting in there, dealing a little bit of damage, and then getting out again. Zipping back out.
It's less the kind of the Twitch shooty kind of Space Invaders style, moving out of the bullet's way kind of thing, and it's more like the game. What was the game I was thinking of? Dead Cells, where it's like it has like that's like a 2D platform side scroller version of Dark Souls, whereas this feels like it has more kind of spiritual energy of that, but in the kind of isometric realm.
Yeah, I suppose
it's a curious one because when you put it onto me, I wasn't expecting to like it because I don't generally. Like, I never found the idea of the Binding of Isaac games interesting. But it was the narrative in this when you were like, oh, by day you're a shopkeep, and then by night you kill, and then you sell the stuff that you loot. And I was like, oh, That's really fucking cool.
The combat in this game I don't find as rewarding as selling your goods.
Managing the store and catching thieves and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, catching the thieves is a big part of like what sold it for me. That was charming.
It's delightful
because there's no like it's not what's the word. It doesn't grind you down.
No.
The amount of thieves in the game, dude, like you're never going, I'm never gonna beat this game because there are too many thieves.
And you can also like you can get things to hang on your walls that make thieves less likely to turn up, and when you have the shop assistant, she'll kind of tackle them for you.
Yeah.
And she'll even go out the shop and chase them down and bring the stuff back, which is fun. So it's definitely it was a game that I wasn't expecting to like, and then I was immediately charmed by. But I think the thing that I kind of latched onto when I was doing some research, trying to work out why I enjoyed it, was that idea of the ludonarrative and the storytelling and things like that. So there's a concept in game design, which is ludonarrative dissonance, which is the conflict between a game's narrative and a narrative communicated through gameplay. So what's the difference between what the story of the game is and what the actual gameplay is? So in Halo, the story is Master Chief going to this strange Halo ring and then, escaping and escaping the flood or whatever. But the moment-to-moment gameplay storytelling sometimes reflects that, but other times doesn't. And it's the dissonance between those two things that tends to be the difference between really, really great games and ones that you go, well, the story was good or the gameplay is great. It's kind of like the BioShock Infinite thing, where the ludonarrative dissonance between how good that story is and how average the shooting mechanics and stuff like that are means that the game feels like kind of strange, and that dissonance kind of sticks in your brain because obviously humans like to experience the least amount of dissonance possible. And Moonlighter I think they ties them together pretty well because the story's fairly light. Because you start the game weak.
Incredibly light.
Really light. And because you start the game weak and you kind of want to beat the first boss, but you mostly, I wrote down exactly what you said, you mostly enjoy the pleasantness of selling shit in the shop.
Yeah.
Like, that's the fun bit. And the dungeons feel like a necessary kind of trial to buy the cool new upgrade or to, get the new pot that you want that's going to get you more money.
The bosses are kind of secondary in this game. They guard like a treasure chest of loot that you can sell for heaps of money, but just so much money.
Not especially unique loot.
Yeah, no. There are ways that you can find, like you can go spelunking, kind of. There's like a minor spelunking mechanic where if you fall down like correct holes at the right time, you can find secret rooms within the dungeon,
or like secret chests that will teleport your items back to town.
Yeah.
Or like secret challenge rooms that get you more loot or better items.
But anytime that you participate in the dungeon, as long as you get out, fine. Like as long as you don't die in there, you're taking a step forward.
But it's the thing that basically
there's never any lost time.
But it always costs you money to leave unless you beat the whole dungeon.
I never found that to be particularly debilitating.
The only time I found it to be debilitating was when I beat the first boss really early on. Just out of like pure, like I just clutched it by accident. And then like I was not that good at the game. I kind of beat it and went shit. And I got to the second dungeon. I was not equipped for it. And then going to the second dungeon at the start of that dungeon run was like an investment.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's going to cost me so much more money than I have right now to get out. There was one point where I couldn't get out. I had to keep going until I had enough money to put into the mirror to then get out.
Yeah.
So that was the only time it kind of became an issue. But I think once you get a few upgrades and some better armor, I found myself getting like more and more eager. Like I was building like better weapons, cooler armor, like more sort of interesting equipment. I was trying to like balance my build a bit more. And then I was like, all I was doing was going to the dungeons. Yeah. And I was doing like 2 or 3 days in the dungeons, coming out and then, coming up for air to sell stuff and to meet a quest objective from a townsfolk or whatever. And then I got the assistant. And then I spent less and less time in the shop and more and more time in the dungeons. And I was like, I'm not enjoying this game anymore. What happened? It's because I wasn't doing the fun bit.
Yeah, which is selling shit.
Because I became obsessed with the dungeon. And it's the fucking old man is right. He's like, just tend to the shop. You'll have a better time.
Yeah, better time if you sell things.
And that's a really interesting, like, and it's, like, do you know what I mean? That's an interesting kind of meta narrative thing happening with the gameplay where, and maybe, I don't know if it's good or bad, because it means the gameplay is not that fun all the time. But like, I don't know, it's kind of weird that happened.
Yeah.
Did you have a similar thing? Or?
I did have a similar thing. Not all of the weapon builds were particularly intuitive for me. I'll freely admit.
What the fuck's the giant Buster Swords? What are they doing?
That is absolutely insane. And I watch people play the game with those Buster Swords, And I played the game with a Buster Sword at the beginning because I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go around rocking this huge sword. But it's so graceless. And you're effectively just there tanking hits from the enemies and cleaving stuff out. So it gets a little bit too grindy for me. I like that balance of strategically dodging out of the way at the very last moment.
And then getting the good hit
in.
Yeah, the fun way to play Dark Souls, basically.
Yeah. Even against bosses, watching people with those Buster Swords with any weapon that isn't like a zippy, fast kind of weapon. Up. Yeah, it's very difficult to watch people play the game that way.
No contest. Like, I mean, the boss in the desert dungeon, where it's hot. That boss is so fucking hard.
It's so difficult.
Like that was where I really came unstuck. I was on that boss for so long. And I was like, okay, I need to enchant my armor. Like, I was like at the point where I was like, I've done everything I can think of. Okay, what's next? And it was only when I had full enchanted gear, like I was full tier that I could get up to, full enchanted. I changed the way I had the spear and the fully powered short sword, and I was like in there, and I got the expensive potions, and I saved up, and I was upgrading the shop, and like it took me like a solid 10 hours of gameplay to beat that thing. Yeah, because it's so fucking hard.
Yes, it was.
And then the next boss was really easy.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some balancing issues.
Why didn't they swap those? Because they were just color themed.
I found I couldn't predict how the dungeons were going to be as far as clearing them is concerned. How difficult they were going to be, because the first one is Baby Town Frolics. After a while, you get in there, you learn everything's moveset, and there's no surprises, and then you get to the next.
They either hit or they shoot. Those are the two options. And there's one guy who has a shield that you have to hit from behind. Those are the three core mechanics.
Those are the three core mechanics. Yeah. And then you get into the plant dungeon, and there are pools of acid everywhere.
There's pools of acid. There's a dude that throws wind that doesn't hurt you very much, but pushes you back.
Pushes you into the acid.
There's
the acid
things
just
that
fucked with me the entire time.
Like Beyblade style bouncy leaves that kill you, but then there's also a dude who spits acid at you.
Yeah. There were a lot of acid things.
There's a lot of
shit. There's a lot of acid.
A lot of stuff going on.
That boss in the plant dungeon got in there and whooped his ass in 5 minutes. I was just like, you've made me into this. You've made me into this monster.
Yeah.
Because the dungeon getting there was so difficult, and that's kind of what I expected the rest of the game to be like. That the dungeon was going to be the real chaos, and the boss was just going to be an afterthought. But that fucking desert dungeon, man.
I don't know.
The desert dungeon in itself was fine because you get in there with your upgraded gear and
you get used to
wipe everything out.
Because you've just done a whole dungeon with acid, you know what to do with the lava.
Yeah, exactly. It isn't a problem anymore.
There's a few enemies that, like the roly enemies, are easy to deal with. There's a few which do the quick moving fire nymph.
Yeah,
attacks
right.
That
after
a while started to shit me off.
Yeah, there was a lot more movement based in that dungeon. I felt.
Yeah, I even swapped to lighter armor for that dungeon.
Yeah,
so I moved quicker.
Yeah. I played through the whole game with the light armor set because
I was changing in and out.
Love that
depending on the dungeon.
Yeah.
Kind of, which I never do in other roguelike games, but for that one, I just felt like the thing that, like, as I was playing William, I was like, I felt like he would be, not that he's like Batman where he's like prepared for anything, but like, I was like, I wanted to, I don't know, I played that game like I was him going, okay, what am I going to do tonight? Because I'm leaving the shop. I need to be prepared. I'm going to the forest. It wasn't like I turn up to the gates and I'm like, I'll just pick one. I'm like, no, I'm going to the forest dungeon. I'm going to bring these potions because it's this level. I'm gonna put on this armor for this reason. Like I started planning it really carefully, and it made those trips. That was when the game started being fun again. Is when I was like doing that kind of prep work to sort of, it's like the start of a Mission Impossible film where they're like, what's the mission? How are we gonna do it?
The strategy. Yeah. The strategy is what sold it after a while.
Thoroughly, because the gameplay is fine.
Yeah,
but it's that process I think of when you can. Ben and I talked about this in our Skyrim episode. But one of our many Skyrim episodes, but there's something that happens when you treat that game instead of just like, being a good guy and killing all the baddies and sneaking around and stuff. But if you try and roleplay that game in a particular way, it completely changes it.
Oh yeah.
So you go, I'm gonna be this type of character. I'm gonna primarily be a merchant, and I'm gonna behave in this way, and I'm gonna be a bad dude.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna kill people for no reason. And you set yourself a series of rules, and instead of going, well, how do I best min-max the situation? You go, what would this character do? And it completely changes the way that you interact with the world. And it makes the game, in my opinion, like 1,000 times more enjoyable.
You get an interesting perspective when you've sort of grown up and you're less of an edgelord and you play Skyrim again and it's actually better. Because there's so many more. Because it's a weird thing. Well, when you play evil in these games, the game just kind of like, it gives you a bit too much. Like, it gives you a bit too much freedom. It's just like, oh, this door's locked. You're like, well, good thing I have no morals and like 80 lockpicking.
Yeah, you can bypass most problems.
Yeah, and it's like, there's no passion. Like, you don't hate anyone as an evil character. You're just kind of generally a dick. But like, I've been playing through this. I've been like, I want to be a good guy.
Yeah.
So I joined the Imperials because the fucking Stormcloaks are racist Nazi scum. I dropped the main storyline and I did Dawnguard because I just fucking hate vampires. I've just been murking vampires.
They're pretty good to kill on.
I went to Riften and fucking hated it.
Well, it's the worst of
it's this weird thing where like playing a good character, there's so much like
you're like, this is just
there's so much stuff that's like you can hate.
Yeah.
You can like get angry at someone because they're actually someone you can hate. You can be like, Ulfric Stormcloak is a legitimate asshole because he killed a bunch of people, overthrow the stable society because he had a
And I felt very much the same with this game, where the minute I started doing that stuff, and I didn't do it consciously, it just started happening. Where I was like, okay, well, William's got this chest for this armor and this chest for that armor, and I know what I'm ducking into, where my weapons are and all that stuff. Okay, he's going to brew these potions for this dungeon, and like I got into like a rhythm of like, how's he approaching stuff? And then what's his relationship to the shopkeep? Like, is he bringing her in every day when he's not there? Is he not? All that stuff that just was intuitive after a while and became part of my rhythm totally changed it. I started having fun again. Like, and that's what I've been doing the last few nights. When I'm not watching Mad Men again. On my like fifth rewatching Mad Men. But like, I don't know. It's a game that, conceptually, it's pretty basic. But it's all that interconnectedness of that Ludo narrative.
I think the most complex thing is determining what costs.
Yes, I have a whole section for
a
that.
lot.
Should we talk about how the hell the game does its currency? So, like, can you explain, like, because when you said to me, you were like, oh, you have to sell stuff, but you don't know how much it costs. I went, what? But then when you play it, it gives you, like, a migraine sometimes, where you sell something and it's like, for too much or too little, and your brain's like, I don't understand.
So you're, like, when you're a shopkeeper, when you're in shopkeeping mode and you're on a hardcore capitalist adventure time, you are constantly watching your customers come in and you're watching for their reaction to the price of the thing that you're selling.
Yes.
And that is going to tell you whether you've set it at the Goldilocks price, whether it's too low or too high to be selling. If it's too high to be selling, there's a chance that they'll buy it because it's in high demand. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, they'll just leave it.
Yeah, they look kind of happy at you.
Yeah.
So you spend a lot of time trying to like scope out how they're feeling.
Yes.
But then you also spot thieves at the same time.
Yeah,
and
the
fun little
thieves, and like what's great is everybody looks the same. You're always prepared for the thief to come in because the thief looks the same. It's always the same damn thief that comes in most of the time.
And the further you get into the game, the more thieves start to appear. But they
always look the same. And you go, all right, yeah, great. This guy's gonna try and take a crack at like my goods again. I didn't find the price gave me a migraine because whatever I did, even if I applied my own twisted logic to how the pricing worked in this game, I always undersold them.
I always did as well.
Yeah. It was so difficult to guess off the bat just how much something costs because you have a merchant's journal, and in that journal it records the pricing for every item in the game that you can encounter. They'll only fill in once you get the item. And it'll record
it records the reaction to a price, not...
Yeah.
It's very weird. So it's like very happy, where it's like you undersold it.
it'll record
happy.
it'll record your lowest price that you've sold it for, and it'll record your highest price that you've sold it for, and it's a slow game of like whittling those two prices toward a middle.
Because you can just oversell, you can overprice everything if you want to.
But you won't sell anything.
But you can after a while, and people just start to hate you for it. So there's a popularity mechanic that I was trying to explore the other night, where if you do just keep everything high forever, and like people don't want to come to your shop, but they have to buy it, they get really pissed off with you, and less people start coming to your shop. So there's a kind of interesting mechanic there, where it lowers your max capacity for people and lowers the number of people that come in. So there is a kind of trade-off to like, if you sell everything really cheap, you make less money, and more people come in.
Yeah.
But you're also making like, you kind of spend more time to get the money you need. Whereas if you sell everything really expensive, then you become less popular, but you can sell less shit. So you have to be there for less time.
I thought that they kind of held your hand through that whole evolution of the store a little bit too much.
But it could have been a bit more, I don't know. Or even if in the same way that when you upgrade the chest and the bed and the discount box, I would have liked to have seen that kind of choice mechanic with the upgrades to the actual shop itself. So to get the assistant, that's like, a really expensive opening price, and then also like a daily rate.
Yeah.
You have 30% or whatever, and then to get these more cabinets and like I would have liked to have seen just some more like not even branching options, but more ways to focus in what you're trying to do initially.
Yep.
So if you're like, I'm just going to sell prestige goods, I'm going to buy the glass cases that draw people's attention more. Or I'm going to, because you can do that with the decorations, the ornaments that increase.
Yes. Yeah. So you wanted that to be more like free planning
of the actual space
planning
itself.
The actual space itself, instead of getting like a bunch more tables.
Just at once. Not even like a Minecraft thing where you're like, I put these ones here, but just even just like set layout blueprint things where you can be like, I want to do this upgrade, then that upgrade, then that upgrade. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It just, that would have been an interesting way to help you focus the start of the game. Because by the time you get to the end of it, things are pretty cruisy and you're just trying to beat the bosses. Because you have like a cajillion dollars in your purse or whatever. So it would have had some more tension at the start of the game that might have continued throughout. Because I have no reason to buy the bigger chest. Like, whereas the bed was super helpful in the dungeons.
Oh yeah, because you get that health boost.
Yeah, and then you get the 3 free hits as well.
Yeah.
Whereas getting the extra chest space, like by that point, you're selling enough.
You're selling enough shit that the space in the chest isn't an issue unless you're hoarding items for upgrades and potions. But
it's like you're doing 40 for a cycle tops or whatever.
Yeah.
I was storing armor and stuff, but that's one chest's worth. And some of them are like nearly bottomless. The chests that you get on the left-hand side are like 2 or 3 deep by the time you get toward the end of the game.
Yeah.
The
I kind of wanted them to when the developers drop the mechanics a little earlier than they did.
How do you mean?
So like day by day introduce, obviously the sale mechanic, but then maybe on the second day introduce the order mechanic, because I thought that came way too late.
Where people can ask for things.
People are asking for things.
That's such an interesting mechanic too, because you stress out.
You do stress out.
You're like, I've got 4 days and I can't,
I don't know if there was any tangible consequence for neglecting that.
It decreases your popularity.
After a while. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I only failed one because I was very good.
It gave me like actual stress.
Yeah. Because you're like, God damn it, I need to find these arbitrary items.
You spend 4 days in the forest dungeon and you get one of them.
Yes. Yeah. And you go, Jesus.
Fuck. He's gonna be so pissed.
They're gonna be so upset with me. And
they
won't even take the one that you gave, like the one that you got.
But I was like
it's all or nothing with them.
I was a real wimp. I just would be like, well, I don't have them. I'm not going to open the shop.
I'm not going to open the shop today.
They don't know. I don't want to confront them. Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, I guess seeing that earlier would have been cool.
Yeah. Like, and sustaining that all the way throughout. And even the popularity mechanic would have been nice.
And they could have even done that thing where maybe, even bring that in a bit more. So if you do those quests, it gets more popular, and maybe that has like an effect on the tipping. Tipping being a flat rate seemed odd to me. I wanted that to be tied to the popularity. Yeah,
that would have been nice. Because like the optimal build is to just...
It's just only tip.
Yeah, it's only tip. Yeah.
Which
like
you can do if you have the Emporium upgrade.
Yeah.
With the enough slots.
I just plastered every possible utility item that would get more money.
Yeah, because there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Whereas if you'd done that,
because thieves weren't a problem. Like
once
if you saw a thief, you just follow them around.
Yeah.
It was awful. Like if this happened in the real world, this would be an actual crime.
You'd hate the city you live in. You'd be like, what's going on?
Yeah, but you just keep an eye on them, and then once they do finally take the thing off the shelf,
then you tackle them.
Then you tackle them.
You know, because they have a little bloopy icon above their head when
Yeah.
they walk in the door.
The actual thief icon.
I would have loved what I would have loved with the thieves is if they looked a bit different, but there might have been some identifier if you're paying enough attention. But B, if they appraised items incorrectly. So, like, if you had, like, an item that was really expensive that you were charging a lot for, and they were really happy that it was cheap, and then they grab it and try and run, that would be super cool, because then you'd have to be, like, that would add another layer of tension to the appraisal mechanic from the civilians coming in to buy stuff. Because then you'd be like, well, are they excited that it's cheap because I undersold it, or are they going to fucking steal it?
Yeah.
You know, that something there, or even if they didn't appraise it when they walked up to it.
As far as I'm aware, it was random. It was wholly random what they were taking. The thieves.
Oh, it's just random shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the sense that, like, it doesn't matter what they're going up to. If there was some way that they could signify that without having, like, the little bandito icon.
Yeah.
Like, even if they just didn't, when they walked up to the item, whereas everyone else is appraising it and having a reaction, they just didn't react. They appraised it and then just took it. You know, that'd be cool. Something where you go, oh shit, like, you know, that's, unless you're paying attention, you're not going to spot it. Like, it gets a bit easy after a while.
Yeah.
And when you have the shop assistant, she fucking chases them out the door and brings the shit back. Like,
yeah.
That kind of eliminates that issue. But still, I think there's a lot of really cool ideas at work under the hood that create a lot of integrated tension as you go forward. But as you said, toward the end of the game, some of that falls away as you just get too rich.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever use the banker for investment?
Oh my god. Yeah, I did.
Explain to me how that works.
That would involve trying to explain a simulacrum of the economy itself in real life.
Okay. Did they just do an algorithm or something?
I think it's just an algorithm. But it's a dumb algorithm. Like there's no to me any cause and effect. Like what you do that will increase your investment or decrease your investment, because the banker says invest in me and I will bring other businesses in neighboring villages to life. And you need to put a lot of money in him, but there's a substantial risk in that. So I put 1 million gold pieces into this guy,
high roller,
right? Because I went like 50,000 is pocket change, but there's no immediate benefit to gaining like a 10% raise on 50,000.
Yeah.
10% on 1 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Which backfired.
Yep.
Right? Because on the second day it plummeted 90% and took all of that cash. I had 100,000 gold left in the bank, and I went, "Where's my gold?" And you can't then take your investment out because he won't let you. Because it's like, I don't work 6 of the 7 days a week. You need to come see me at the end of the week, where you can then take the rest of the money out that you've got. And then for better or worse, you get the money out at the end of the week. And I think I had 400,000 by the end of the week. That was there left. A lot of people in the forums will tell you not to use the banker, and I don't think you should, because there's no way to predict it. There's no game to that system.
It's not like if you sell more shit in your shop, then it's better, or like there's no corollary for like the actual performance. It's just,
you also don't see any effect of your money. Like you don't see other shops rising up or other people getting richer.
I think that was the thing that struck me as weird, is like, because it's pixel assets. They could have done a cheap thing, and like the better and more stuff you're doing, like even just like the more screens you could walk into and see new houses and new homes and stuff. Yeah,
that would have been nice.
But it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. There's a part of me that like wishes, what's the word for it? Like, if there was a way they could create a tactile sense of this place growing. Because when you build the first shops, it's fucking cool. More people start coming to town.
Yep.
There's more life in the town. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
But then after that, it just kind of nothing happens, except there are more dungeons open. Would have been cool if, like, you know, we've opened up the the bottom market now, and you go down further, and there's just like more shops or whatever. They could be selling the same shit, but that feeling of growing a town would be kind of cool. Or if it's just more homes, you can go talk to more people. I mean, I know like games, the way they work is like doing that is like infinitely more development. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's hard to criticize it based on what should have happened.
Exactly.
I agree.
But rather than spending the time in the banker, maybe that could have been.
Just would have been nice to like have something else to do with your money after a while. Even
if there was an ability, I was thinking about this the other night. Like when you leave the shop to choose to put in your adventuring gear or not, and then you could go down and there could be like a second part of town that's like the recreation area.
Yeah,
like a bar and like a restaurant, and like you could maybe like have relationships or like even
and that it would mean fleshing out the story,
or even just bang off the walls and like not even like having like relationships of carrying, but like just like a bar where you can spend money and just hang out and watch people go about their day or something.
Yeah. I think it would like it would have been nice to see more than one additional merchant.
Yeah.
Like general goods merchant in the town. Because that like at the very least would have created another layer of I guess complexity to your own pricing.
Yeah.
So you can see that someone's underselling you.
And even what like that's actually I hadn't even thought of that.
And then really you're going, oh my god, how do I react to that?
Because you go there and you hit the right trigger or whatever, looking at that item, and you go, whoa, they're selling it for 50 gold less than I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy them all. That kind of cool, fun sort of,
create create a monopoly based around what like
if you want to, and that'd be fun.
Energy crystals.
But then he's got shit you can't find.
Yeah,
because he's going to another town to get it, and you can't do that because you use the dungeons.
Yeah,
so like that'd be really fun and interesting. But again, like it creates so much more complexity. And again, I think the game works really well by itself, but there's just it feels like the start of something. Not the it feels like they went we have all these really cool ideas here is most of it, but the next bit you need to make it into like a masterpiece that would just suck, like the darkest dungeon that sucks you in, and you're like I've played this game for 200 hours and I'm like so invested in this human resources department for these heroes, and I feel their struggles, and it's so like there's enough layers that you feel like you're part of that.
Yeah,
and the tactile sense of you achieving something. And even when you do something good, you lose stuff, and people are damaged and they're hurt and they need time to recover. Whereas I feel like with Moonlighter, even when you die, the worst that happens is you go back to town and you keep your top row of items or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's a substantial it seems like there's substantial enough stakes or layers necessarily to lend that complexity.
Yeah, after a while when you get really good at the dungeons. Yes, I agree. I think early on it's great because you're terrified that you're just going to lose everything. The one really cool thing about this game as well is the inventory packing mechanics that they've implemented in this game. Because most games you have different sized items. In this particular game, you have items that will have a reaction when placed against different items. So you've got to organize your backpack in a way that like you don't want the wrong things to be touching each other by the end of the dungeon.
Some things will destroy other things, and other things need to be at the bottom. Like some of them teleport them home.
Other things will like transform them into the same item.
Yeah, I did that a few times. I was like, no,
it's like you have this shit berry that you get. You sell for like 75 gold pieces, and you accidentally
like
place it against.
Gold.
Yeah,
stack of gold runes. I'm like, no, that's like 10k. I think that's a really fun idea.
Yeah, I mean, it is punishing at very inopportune times, especially when you're trying to upgrade and you accidentally turn all of your into goop.
I think what makes it not work sometimes is that there's when you discard items, you make money from them. That sometimes makes me go, like if that wasn't there, it would be so much more. Maybe actually, if that wasn't there, I might get really frustrated with it actually, because that kind of
getting rid of it.
Because you go, I'm gonna make $10 anyway, But I don't know how else they could have done that.
It's hard to say. Yeah. Improving the stack rate would have been nice.
10 is not a high enough number.
Yeah, giving everything a flat 10, because there are some that you can only stack 5 times.
Or if you could upgrade your backpacks, you could have higher stack rates or something.
Yeah.
I was expecting that. It just never happened.
Yeah.
Weird. Like, to be able to upgrade some of William's other stuff, or like if he had some sweet threads he could chuck on the shop that would
you can upgrade the starting broom.
That's it.
Which you know blew my mind when I realized it.
You should hang on to it. Yeah.
Yes, hang on to the broom.
Yeah,
it's a meta item.
It is very much a meta item. But I don't know. It's just really cool, and it feels like it was the start of a really, really, really like comprehensive idea that just kind of they went, okay, we did it, and I'm keen to see if they do something else with the same ideas moving forward. Maybe it's like a Moonlighter 2 that's that plus a whole bunch of more stuff. I'd love to see that.
It does seem like a game that is crying up for a sequel that just improves on every element.
Layers more stuff. Because they've got they've kind of built the tech demo. Now they need the stuff on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I really enjoyed it. Do you have any kind of wrapping up thoughts aside from that?
The art style is wonderful.
It's charming.
It is very charming.
Yeah, I love
it. It's simple. It's simple enough to be interesting.
It's a good end of day, brain off, beer in hand game.
Yeah.
You can sit there and play for half an hour with your Xbox controller or whatever. Put your feet up, have a brew, and just kind of tune out and really enjoy selling stuff to people.
Yeah.
And feel like you've achieved something.
And because of how it's structured, it is like a great 10 minutes before
it's on the Switch, which
leave.
is genius.
Yeah, the Switch. It's on the Switch. PS4, it's on Steam.
Yeah, I've been playing it on the PC. I want to buy it on the Switch though, because I reckon that'd be great for the train or the bus or whatever. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And you can play it in very short intervals. This is what I liked about this game, because I bought it around the same time that I got Red Dead.
Yeah,
and
you probably needed a break.
It was so nice. Like in comparison, you have this big fuck off world, and then you've got Moonlighter, which is
dip your toes in.
It's nice. It's very nice. Compartmentalized.
No, absolutely agree. Do you have any recommendations for this week? What people should things you've been watching or reading or checking out?
Ooh.
The segment does happen every week, and every time we do it, everyone is surprised that we still do the segment.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I can do mine first if you have to think for a minute.
You do yours first, I'll think about it.
I'm currently rereading the Skullduggery Pleasant series, which I mentioned before. I'm reading Gunslinger for the book club by Stephen King. It's as good as I remember, if not better. I've been rewatching Mad Men, which I've talked about for the last 6 or 7 weeks, because I'm well deep in that rabbit hole. Aside from that, you also check out Gus Johnson on YouTube. He just put up a 1:30 video that is just phenomenal storytelling. It's real dumb and fun, but brilliant. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Listening to the Weekly Planet podcast, as always, it's still great. James and Mason are back from holidays, so check that out. Chugini?
Late to the game with this one, but go watch Bandersnatch.
Yeah, we bragged on it last week, but go watch it if you haven't.
Yeah, go watch it.
It's interesting.
And, yeah.
Go watch it and then listen to our episode from last week.
Yeah. Then think of better things to do with the choose your own adventure format.
Then think of what if the story was also good.
Yeah.
Was my point, the whole podcast. But to summarize last week's episode, if you haven't listened to it, but what if they just did a good story at the same time? Yeah, so go check that out. That was with our friend Adam, that Adley from Ireland. He was Skyped in, and he did a fantastic job of helping us break it down. Ben really enjoyed it because of the tech aspect, so he explained to us how they built it and the sort of some of the intricacies of the system, and then we basically tore the story to shreds. So check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, this is the part of the show where we do our plugs, but I don't think you have it memorized like Benjamin does.
No.
We're everywhere. We're DCM Works everywhere. On Twitter, we're at DCM_works. If you want to help support the show, patreon.com/DCMworks. You can find over 60 plus behind the scenes podcasts, all kinds of things like our interface audio drama anthology series where Ben reads me a series of posts from Reddit that tie together to create a world that's not too dissimilar to our own. But maybe some stuff is going on that doesn't happen here. Or maybe it's the same world, who knows. Otherwise, there's all kinds of things like a Road to Infinity War. You get early access to video essays. You also get an extra 20 minutes of Art for Artists every week in the form of our post show, which is 20 more minutes of us, which I think is a good thing.
It's a pretty good deal.
Some people disagree. My mother disagrees, but in general, people think it's a good thing. So you can check that out if you head to patreon.com/DCMworks, starting at $3 a month for subscriptions, and you get access to everything immediately. Otherwise, you can buy my book at maynardtrick.com. Aaron was the editor, so he can attest that it's some quality material.
Yes.
And if you have read it, which I know a lot of you have, you can go rate that on Goodreads and help jump in there and let people know what you thought of it. Even if you thought it was terrible, any rating at all helps, and we appreciate any feedback. Otherwise, if you want to follow us individually, I'm at DCM I Hate Pie.
And I'm at _RSwari.
Good luck spelling that. It's in the show notes, and we'll see you guys next week.